Let's go and jump saying that's a bit more funny, I think. Most of you guys still have it in the title, and so I do want to at least still touch on it.
It's but that's what that gave you the segue. This is what I want to talk about. And
Yep.
I don't it would be funny if it wasn't so infuriating.
And there's a lot of people who support this. A California, a California Senate candidate talk about the idea of a $50 minimum wage in one of their debates. Now I remember when the fight was for 15.
Well, it's not so much the number that was used, it's the reason behind why she thinks that this is the right number. Barbara Lee, right?
Yep. So right over here. So she said, in the Bay Area, I believe it was the United Way that came out with a report recently that, or very recently, $127,000 for a family of four is barely enough to get by. So first off, don't live in the Bay Area, right? I mean, that should be lesson number one. You know, do whatever you can, just get out of there. That's utterly insane. And this was when she was asked to defend her support of a $50 minimum wage. Another survey very recently, $104,000 for a family of one is barely enough to get by. Low income because of the affordability crisis. Just do the math. Of course, we have a national minimum wage that needs to raise it, that we need to raise to a living wage, Lee continued. We're talking about 2025, fine, but I've got to be focused on what California needs and what the affordability factor is when we start calculating this wage. Now, it is funny, they move down here. They, I believe it was one of the, let's see, one of the lone Republican guy on stage. Everyone wants their employees to make more money, but it's just cost, and someone's got to pay for it, and the restaurant operators don't have enough margin for that, so prices will go up. I wanted to talk about this real quick because this is always our standard, our go-to line a lot of times when we talk about the minimum wage, of how it'll drive up prices. But that's not the only factor here as to why the minimum wage is wrong. And here's the thing, I think we both are on the same stance, right? Minimum wage should be done away with completely, right?
Of course.
Okay, good. So we can always start with that. Minimum wage should be done away completely. Now, the big reason is, or it's, to be honest, there is multiple reasons. But of course, they talk about all the time, well, your Big Mac will go from $5 to $7 or $5 to $10. But the reality is a lot of people don't really care about that too much, I don't think. But I think we jump to that mostly because the majority of people out there, let's face it, are kind of dumb and are completely economically illiterate and can't think to a wider scale than just their individual purchases. But here's the thing, whenever we raise the minimum wage, what we're really doing is giving a massive handout to large organizations or large corporations like Amazon, Walmart, Microsoft, whatever, you name a large corporation, that is who's being helped whenever you increase the minimum wage. Because mom and pop shops cannot keep up with that. Sure, Walmart can handle increasing their minimum wage up to maybe $15 or $20 an hour. They just raise the price on some of their better selling items, and most people bite the bullet and do it. And they're selling so many items, they can raise it at a very low level and still probably get by. But a mom and pop shop simply cannot do that. All you do when you increase the minimum wage at this point is destroy every small and medium-sized business while propping up all these large businesses that already are getting tons of handouts from the government as a whole. Asha, are you looking up something involving this, or are you private conversation?
No. I'm looking something up.
Okay. But the thing is, like,
We start. I kind of gave you the segue with Milton Friedman, Free to Choose, and I can't remember. Normally, I'm good at this sort of thing, but I can't seem to remember tonight which chapter talks about the minimum wage and its impact on society as a whole. But what statistics will show you throughout history is that every time we've increased the minimum wage, the demographic that gets hurt the worst are young black males, and
yes.
repeatedly they're getting hammered. And now you throw in millions upon millions of illegals, and what's going to happen to the wage pressure, and it's not operating as it should, because there should be, supply and demand. Labor is a resource like anything else, and supply and demand will set a minimum wage, but the government getting in the way just makes it worse. And the demographic that's hurt most often are young black males.
So just to let you know, I think it's either chapter 1, the power of the market, or chapter 8, who protects the worker. So I think that would be the one of the two right there to pull from. But
and the series that is currently on C-SPAN and that you can get on Free to Choose Media, they take the chapters and they show a montage of Friedman in different parts of the world talking about that chapter, and then a discussion at the University of Chicago with generally Thomas Sowell, Friedman, and a bunch of knuckleheads on the left.
So it was funny. Once my son was born, the first thing he told, one of the first things I remember him saying was, "We're gonna have you." He was holding him in his arms. He said, "We're gonna have you reading books like Marcus Aurelius and Thomas Sowell."
I guarantee you, we threw Free to Choose in there because that.
Oh, 100%. And I always throw in Road to Serfdom because that was one of my big awakening books, I would say, too. I really love that one a lot, too. But
you're welcome.
Anyone who's economically literate to any degree understands the fact that just because you increase the amount paid does not mean you've increased the value the worker is providing for his services. And so, either way, the value is what the value is, and the cost for each item is going to reflect that. If you're paying them more, obviously the item's going to go up. If you're a small business, you're not going to be able to keep up with that, while large corporations will still be able to, of course, cover those costs through some other means, if not through just bailouts from the government, and continue just going right along. You've basically pulled up the ladder behind you. Anyone who's in favor of bigger minimum wages is in favor of large corporations. So that the left, who likes to say they're for the little guy, they hate the big businesses. No. They're more in favor of big business than anyone else by the policies that they vote for, every time.
Every time. And if you think that we're exaggerating and this is crazy, what happened when we shut down for COVID?
Yep. It was a big handout to places like Amazon. Meanwhile, there was cases where
Amazon, who fills their pockets with campaign contributions and contributions to their foundations. Again, it comes right back to money laundering. If you want to know where the real power center of anything is, follow the money.
Yep.
And you're absolutely right. The policies that we're seeing favor big multinational corporations.
And
it's getting harder. The small businessman is getting squeezed at every turn.
And here's the thing. For the most part, natural monopolies aren't that big of a deal, right? Natural monopolies occur when someone can actually provide a service better than anyone else can provide it, and they have actually provided something to the consumers to such a degree that the consumers want it more than anything else there is on the market. And there's no force that causes that. It's simply that they have provided something that's beneficial to all. Natural monopolies are just fine so long as they're not backed by government force. However, when you have laws like this is basically being backed by government force. This is someone putting a gun to a small business's head and saying, you will basically do something to destroy your business or else we will pull this trigger. And it's one of the things of even laws like this are always, enforced at the end of the day through a barrel of a gun.
Now this isn't, before we get too far, this isn't a law. This is just an idiot candidate for Senate.
Yes, but they're already, all of the Democrats on stage agreed with $20-something an hour minimum wage. And it's always the Democrats who are still in favor of constantly increasing it.
That's already the law in California. They've already done that.
And here's the thing, just take it to a logical extreme.
Places. So for the first time ever, because of crime and ridiculous minimum wage policies, In-N-Out's going to close their first ever location, right? So when you combine the two, again, what is it doing to these business owners? How about laws that you think, oh, this wouldn't affect anybody, but how about laws in franchising that are causing in California to treat employees or franchisees as employees of the franchisor? You can't survive that as a franchisor. The reason you establish your franchise is to grow the brand in a way, because you don't have the resources to do it on your own. You can grow faster, farther, and bigger by franchisees investing. But they're screwing with franchise law, and all these things are going on in California. And you're wondering why. How can you afford to pay between state and federal as a business owner? How can you afford to pay your personal taxes that are going to run 60% and higher? Who's going to stay there? How is that going to stay? Elon, he's put his big X symbol over the state of Texas. He's feeling right at home in Texas. Who's next?
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. To a point, I'm kind of with the feeling of let them suffer because they voted for this, right? They voted for this concept. But here's the thing: why did they vote for this? Well, because for the most part, we put them in, and this might seem a bit off topic in a way, but we put them in these educational facilities that do the furthest thing from that, right? They do not educate children whatsoever, but people have been going through this system and they're never taught any financial literacy whatsoever. They never learn anything about economics, never learn anything about philosophy, never learn anything about critical thinking. And so they go out of this and they have no idea how to properly operate in the real world. And so what do? They have to look to someone higher than themselves to save them. So they start calling Big Daddy government to come in and help them out. And of course, anytime the government gets involved, it gets far worse. But it all stems from the fact of we have done an absolutely piss poor job at educating our youth in this country. And now guess what? That youth that has not been educated one bit are now starting to become the people in charge. And we're really starting to see the consequences of that.
So, you know, the meme that gets me the angriest, I think, on any site is the one, because you see it this time of the year. Oh, I'm really glad I learned parallelograms because it helps me during parallelogram season. And the whole meme is designed to say they should have taught me taxes. No, in a sane world, we would live in a system where taxes, it's 10% or whatever the number is.
Flat
Everybody
tax.
pays. It's simple. We don't live in a world where it's absolutely designed to cause and wreak the most havoc.